Hello, everybody. Good Friday to you. This is Uncle Hondo, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast here at the Raiders facility, where Antonio Pierce just moments ago quit talking. We're going to have practice here in a short bit. And then, of course, in the locker room. But I wanted to address a couple issues and read some of your email. I haven't done a Q&A this week. So let's get at it. The first comes from Colby Vaughn, who lives in Milwaukee, Oregon. And Colby says, Hondo, hope you're doing well. Do you think the Raiders would take a flyer on Daniel Jones? Why? You've got your three quarterbacks. I mean, two of them on the roster right now, of course, and Gardner and Desmond, who you're committed to for the rest of the year. You're committed to Aiden if he comes back. No. And you bring him back with very little time to learn what you have. No, I don't think they would take a flyer on Daniel Jones in the least bit. The next one comes to us from Carrie. Here, Kiri or Carrie. It's Keirie. Kiri D. Kiri D is from uh, Stockton, California. Kiri says, Hondo, you've talked before about having mutual friends with Tom Brady, that you've spoken to him a few times, but not a friend. That's all true. Kiri wants to know, is there something about Tom Brady, the man, that you can tell Raider Nation about him since we only know him as a football player? Yeah, tremendous dad. Very much a tremendous father. Very, very good. The next one comes to us from Vanessa W. Vanessa W is in Chicago. Hondo, I have a question on Tom Brady. Is there a chance he would move to Las Vegas and be general manager next year of the football team? No, there's not a chance he'll move here. That's not going to happen. I think he'll move here after his kids graduate. That's opinion. Not saying Tom's told me that, but I don't see him moving here while his kids are in school, and that's in Florida. So no, I don't think he would move here and be general manager. Um, this one is from Michael Werner. Michael's in Dallas. Hey, Michael, I'll be in Dallas in the second week of December. Going to hit me some Papacitos. Can't wait. It says, are you, as you reported, that Tom Brady will have a loud voice in the team's future as well? Mark Davis has said he will essentially help pick the quarterback of the future and groom him. Much is being made of AP's job security, but what is Tom Telesco's standing with Brady and company past this season? I think that's a really good question. Um, I don't know. I have some suspicions, but nothing other than that. I don't think that I already said I don't think Tom Brady will move here to be the general manager. I don't believe that. So I'm not even thinking in that vein. I don't know. And I think there's a lot to be determined, but for now, he's in the chair. And if you've ever seen the movie Taps with George C. Scott, um, it is one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, uh, uh, Tom Cruise is in it. Timothy Hutton's in it. Just a great, great movie. Um, Sean Penn's in that movie, but there's a scene in the movie where Timothy Hutton makes the statement, "We have something more than what they do," because they're in an insurmountable situation. And they go, "What's that?" And he goes, "We occupy the space." And I think that's a big deal for Tom. He occupies the space, and I think he's done a very good job. I don't think there's any reason to move on from Tom Telesco. And I think he's a team player. I mean, you saw what he did with the Bolts. Um, and there were some decisions that the organization above him made, and he followed them like a soldier, never threw the organization under the bus, privately or off the record. Um, I mean, publicly or off the record. And I think Tom Telesco, the Raiders are better with Tom Telesco. It's my opinion, but we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right, the next one comes to us from Eric P. I thought this one was really interesting. Eric P said, Hondo, I understand the team's not going to tank. I understand it's better for the team if they tank. How difficult is it to cover a team in the position they're in right now? Well, Eric, I appreciate the question, but I think, quite frankly, media members have a tendency to play the victim. There's nothing difficult about my job. We have warriors for this nation that are on high alert, who are in really bad situations. We have police officers and firefighters and people in this country who have really difficult jobs. Any media member that tells you their job is difficult needs to really, unless they're covering a war on the front line, needs to really take a double check back and check themselves before they wreck themselves. There's nothing difficult about my job. Is it different? Yes. Is it more difficult? Uh-huh, it is, but it's nothing hard. I'll give you an example. There are a lot of reasons why this season went sideways. None of them are beneficial for me to report right now. But a few days ago, someone by the name of Francesa emailed and asked about, usually you get it right when you make a prediction. You got this one wrong. Can you talk about why? I thought it was a great question. Wasn't a jerk. You know, uh, Unlike a lot of people, I make my predictions in the public with my name and face. And I don't mind being held accountable to anything I say. So I get that. I thought it was a really fair question by Francesa and said, ask me at the end of the year and I'll be glad to answer it. And I'm going to give a lot of answers. But sometimes people think you're making excuses. Listen, there is no excuse. This is a terrible season. That said, not everything is terrible. And that said, you can't, in my opinion, throw the baby away with the bathwater. There has also been some good and a lot that this team has to build on. That's why I make the statement. This is not a rebuild, it's a reload. But there's been some real reasons, and we're going to dig into all those. But I want to assure you, there is nothing, hear me, nothing that's difficult compared to what other people do with my job. The next comes from Jason Lucas. Uh, Uncle Hondo, hope all is well. I had a quick question about the Raiders' potential plans at QB in the upcoming draft. Do you think they might consider drafting someone other than Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? Sure, I do. Absolutely. What if they don't have, let's assume going into the draft, they have a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders mentality, but the first two picks are not available and they go just like last year. They weren't getting Jaden Daniels. They have to plan for all of that. Absolutely, they do, and they plan that way. I assure you of that. The next one is Joshua V from the Bay Area. Just curious if you think with Brady getting a voice in the organization in the future is giving Belichick a chance. Okay, I want to say a couple things. I don't think he has a voice. I think he has a loud voice. Number one. Number two, I've addressed this one other time, so I don't mind addressing it now. Anyone telling you that there is any shot of Bill Belichick coming here has no clue what they're talking about. Bill Belichick will not coach the Raiders. Won't happen. And if for some miracle it does, like with Josh McDaniels, I told you there's a small percentage, but he wasn't going to get fired. No, he did. Mark Davis changed his mind. If there is a change and it happens, I'll explain to you exactly why. But I gave you a 1% chance with Josh McDaniels. I'm glad I did, but it's a 0% with Bill. There you go. Let me get to this. I want to get to one more. Comes to us from Craig J. Craig J says, Hondo, I really appreciated your discussion on the officiating from the last game at Miami. I'm just curious. I've heard you ask coaches a couple of times about officiating, and you always reference your question with, I don't want to get you in trouble. What is that about? Coaches have to be very careful They have to be immensely careful when they are addressing um, concerns that apply to officiating. There's a fine line between discussing it and being critical, and then that gets them fined. I don't think it's fair when media members set a coach up to get fined, where if he doesn't answer the question, he looks like he's dodging tough questions. So that's why I always will preface anytime I ask a player or a coach about officiating, not trying to get you in trouble, nor get you fined. So you may remember after the Miami game, I said to AP, not trying to get you in any trouble or get you fined. I'm curious. There was a play that looked like the official made the call based on what he saw on the big screen. Did they give you any explanation that would allow him, excuse me, to tell us what the ref told him? He wouldn't get fined for that. And his answer was nothing or something like that. And it tells you everything you need to know, but it's not my job to get a coach fired or to get, I mean, not fired, but to get a coach fined or in trouble. And that's where just being a member, a professional media member, you need to understand the circumstance and where you are. It's knowing the situation. All right, let's talk about the week of practice. There was a lot of excitement in this building for how improved the offense was. A lot. There is a lot of frustration um, with injuries. Nobody is making excuses, but it is the reality. There is a ton of them. But I want to tell you something, and I understand most of you are rooting for the Raiders to lose. And I just want you to know I totally get that. Um, I get that. I understand that. Okay. But if you're looking for something uh, that you can watch for while you're still hoping for a loss, keep your eyes on Dylan Lobby, the rookie running back out of New Hampshire. You may remember all training camp, he was getting a ton of press, a ton of it. And he looked really good in camp. Got his first real big chance to carry the rock earlier in the year and he fumbled. Now, I've seen that break players before, not him. I've talked to him a lot for the last several weeks when he wasn't playing. I even shared with him a story about Barry Sanders, a private story, but it was a good story about Barry Sanders. Um, and I'm not calling him Barry, just a story about an interaction I had with Barry but it doesn't matter. Anyways, he has a chip on his shoulder, but it's not angry at the coaches that he hasn't played as a running back. It's a chip on his shoulder to prove a lot right. And he is dynamite in a small package. But that young man, I'm really looking forward to watching him this weekend. Great kid. He's from New England. Well, he's from Long Island and he played at New Hampshire. My mom is from Providence, Rhode Island. So she's a big New Englander. And oh my goodness, when the Raiders got him, she was just so excited that they had a New Englander. I know, sounds silly, but and a real one that talks like her. And so, anyways, I have a good relationship with him, and I'm really looking forward to watching the kid. I like him. I like his fight. He is little, but he will put his nose in the middle of anything. He is tough as nails. Dylan Labe is the epitome of the saying, it doesn't matter about the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. He's still a pup, he's a rook, but there's some dog in there, even for as tiny as he is. So I really look for him to get a shot. I think there's a chance we may even see some sincere McCormick, which we haven't seen. And I think a little bit of him's been a disappointment. And I want him to do well. He's a wonderful kid. I'm looking to see some things out of DCAM. If you're watching closely, even if you want the Raiders to lose, I think there's a lot of young players on this team that you can watch and enjoy and see how well they do. Raiders are going to stick with their starting five, even if Andre James is back, just to try to build some continuity. That makes sense to me. I support it. It's just going to be a lot of fun to see how this all goes down. So there you go, everybody. That's your Friday Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast. Thank you for joining us this week. I sure appreciate all of you. Of course, I'll see you tomorrow and I'll see you Sunday morning. And then, of course, we're going to catch you again Friday after the game for the complete recap of Raiders Broncos 2 from Allegiant Stadium. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you.